Right now, thousands of lawsuits from families and school districts are flooding courts across the country. They all share one central accusation. Social media companies have deliberately engineered a nationwide youth mental health crisis. To understand how this legal battle is actually playing out, we need to look at a specific landmark trial in Los Angeles. A young woman, Kelly G.M., brought a case against Meta and YouTube's parent company, Google. In March, the jury handed down a staggering decision. They agreed with Kelly. The jury found that these tech giants were negligent in how they designed their platforms and failed to warn users about the risks involved. This chart shows the exact financial breakdown the jury awarded in damages. The jury assessed $4.2 million against Meta, alongside a $1.8 million penalty for Google. Meta is pushing back. In a new filing, the company has asked the judge to overturn the jury's verdict, or at the very least, order a retrial. Meta is prioritizing this major appeal because the verdict challenges a legal protection the company has relied on for decades. If the ruling stands, it creates a precedent that could change how every major social media platform is allowed to function. During the trial, Kelly's lawyers made a specific distinction. They argued that her psychological distress wasn't caused by the individual photos or videos she saw. The harm originated from the architecture of the apps themselves. The plaintiffs targeted specific design choices engineered to keep developing brains engaged. Features like infinite scroll and videos that automatically play one after another. These mechanics are built to create a continuous behavioral loop. They keep a user trapped on the screen, scrolling and watching, independent of whatever actual content is passing by. By ruling in favor of Kelly, the jury essentially penalized Meta for acting as engineers of addictive behavior, rather than simply existing as a passive library of internet posts. To overturn that ruling, Meta is deploying its strongest legal weapon, the Communications Decency Act of 1996, specifically Section 230. This federal law was written back when the internet was mostly primitive message boards. It was created to protect those early websites from being held liable for things that random users typed and posted. Meta's appeal leans entirely on this law. They argue that the evidence presented at trial showed Kelly's mental health issues were tied to the material she viewed, the content, and not the underlying mechanics like the infinite scroll. This distinction is the center of the legal battle. On the left, you have user-generated content. On the right, you have the platform's design architecture. Section 230 provides legal immunity for the left side. If a user posts something harmful, the platform is generally not liable. However, the law does not explicitly address the right side, the engineering and design choices that govern how that content is delivered. Meta's strategy is to argue that the platform is merely a frame for the content. Under their interpretation of the law, the company that builds the frame cannot be held responsible for the effects of the art inside it. Recently, lower courts across the country have started to move away from this defense. Judges are increasingly rejecting tech companies' attempts to use Section 230 to block claims involving addictive design. This Los Angeles bellwether trial is critical. The final decision establishes a legal path for thousands of pending lawsuits. If Meta overturns the verdict, they set a precedent using Section 230 to challenge nearly every other lawsuit on this map. But if the judge upholds the jury's verdict, the Section 230 defense fails to protect design choices. This would expose Meta, Google, and other tech companies to billions of dollars in potential liability across the country. This appeal will establish the future boundaries of Section 230. If the verdict stands, social media companies may be forced to change their design features or face constant litigation regarding how their platforms influence